How's everybody today? Good. Well, I think that it's really important that we finish the week the right way in terms of our preparation and sort of build to this game. We know it's going to be a challenging conference game on the road against a big rivalry team like Tennessee, and I think that they're playing extremely well, and we know we're going to have to play our best and play a full game, and that's one of the things that we need to do is to keep it going for a full 60 minutes and not play up and down, not have lapses in the game. And I think this is important in this game, but I also think it's important to develop that kind of consistency so you have the best, chance to be successful. So I think in rivalry games like this, people are always going to ask, how did you do against Tennessee? And, for this team, I think that's very, very important. And hopefully, we'll be well prepared and ready to go when the time comes. But from an injury standpoint, Reuben was back at practice today, and Alphonse Taylor is not. So I would say that he's probably pretty questionable for this game, and but there's no decision had been made. We have a protocol for every injury that a guy has, and we're not going to put any player on the field until he fulfills the protocol, and we know that he can be safe and not at risk of re-injury, and that'll be the case with Reuben as well.
We'll start over here with Kevin. Coach, on Minka's interception return, do you still talk to a player about returning it that deep, or does he kind of get off the hook since he scored?
Well, typically I think you got to allow players to have instincts about, should I take this out or not take it out? I think when he caught the ball, he kind of looked upfield and saw that he had a pretty good opening, so he took it. My first thought was before I looked is, don't bring it out. But once I saw him bring it out and saw the opening that we had and how our guys had lined up down the numbers, and I don't even think they had a guy that had a chance to make the tackle. So I think you gotta respect the player's instincts when they do something like that. But and it depends a little bit on the situation in the game as well.
Go back here to Rayner and then Cecil.
With the pattern matching type of coverage scheme that you guys use, how intelligent do you have to be as a defensive back to play for you?
Well, I don't think we play three things, and I think that we play zone, which means you get to an area and break on the ball. We play man-to-man, which means I got that cat, you got that cat, and he's got that cat. All right, so you play your man. We play that. All right, and then we have a couple things that, we sort of match the pattern after the pattern distribution. So that's probably something that maybe some people don't do, but we do. And I think once you understand the concepts of it, it's not really that hard to do. We don't do it all the time. We do it some of the time. Now, the downside of that is when I got this cat, I may not be able to cover him. The good news about the other thing is that the player you have is going to come to you, but we can't control what player you get. So a linebacker could get on Jerry Rice. All right, so that's why you can't do that all the time. That's why you really can't play man-to-man all the time. And, I think when you spot drop and try to break on the ball, you better have a really good pass rush and make the ball come out quick, or you can get hurt doing that. Now, in the last game, we were hurt in all of the above. All right, so it wasn't because of some pattern matching that somebody messed up. All right, we got beat in man-to-man. We played zone and got beat on 3rd and 19 because we didn't play zone right. And probably the best thing we did in the game is match the patterns when we did it.
Go to Cecil back there.
Coach, last Saturday, Tennessee and Texas A&M, I think, went nearly 5 hours. Are games getting longer? Do you notice it? Does it affect anything you do?
Yeah, I said this years ago. When you play pace of play like teams play now, since the 40-second shot clock, and they let them go as fast as they want, it's nothing to play 100 plays in a game. I think both of those teams had 100 plays in a game last week. Now, is that good for player safety? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you that. it just seems to me like the more plays you play, the tighter you get, the more susceptible you might be to getting hurt. So, but I don't know that for a fact. Now, there's things that we could do to probably shorten the game, whether we don't stop the clock after first downs, whether you stand over the ball for a minute, just a second, and not go at warp speed where the other team can't even get lined up. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I don't think it's good that players play that many games. And when you look at that many plays in a game, and when you look at the cumulative effect of the season, when players play like that, now offensive coaches who love this philosophy say, well, the offensive players have to do it just like the defensive players. Well, that's not really true. Defensive players have to run to the ball every play. The offensive linemen stand and watch the guy run with the ball. There's a difference in that. All right, and there's a difference in what the receiver does. If he's backside, he can take a play off or whatever. You can't really do that on defense. So, I think there's potential for a lot of plays to be in this game.
I think your defense was on the field 50 plays against Arkansas in the second half.
In the second half.
Well,
But that's twofold. That's partly our fault. A, we don't get our you-know-what off the field on third down. All right, and second thing is you got to keep the ball on offense, which we had the ball for 17 plays. I talked about that on Monday. First play we fumble. All right, we get an interception back. We go 4 plays and score, which we fumbled in that drive too. We go 2 plays and throw an interception. We go 3 plays and out. We go 5 plays and out. We go 3 plays and out. That's our second half. All right, and when you're ahead in a game, you got to be able to control the game, all right, on both sides of the ball, and we didn't do that.
Back over here to Aaron.
How's Bo Scarbrough coming along in his progression, be a total overall running back, blocking, carrying the ball, all that?
Good. He's doing a good job. He made a nice run on the last game for a touchdown, and I think he's getting more and more confident, and I think he's going to be a factor for us before this season is over.
You're in the middle with Michael.
What's the message to a player when fumbles become contagious? Does it become a confidence issue at a certain point?
Well, what we talk about is, there's a technical way that you're supposed to carry the ball. All right, and when guys don't carry the ball that way, they're going to be more susceptible to fumbling. When Damian Harris fumbled, he got popped, hat right on the ball. When our Darius Stewart fumbled, he was not carrying the ball correctly. So he's going to be more susceptible to fumbling, especially when people come from behind, because they can punch it or strip it if you're not carrying it right. It happened to Texas A&M's running back in the last game on the 2-yard line. So these are technical, fundamental things that you try to work on and correct. That's what we do, and players have to have confidence if they do things correctly. They're going to minimize their chances of having bad things happen.
Back to Tom.
Obviously, you know what it's like to, for lack of a better term, bring an SEC program back. With that in mind, how would you characterize the job that Butch Jones has done at Tennessee? And do you take any, when you do something like that, is it possible to take any satisfaction in bringing a program back that has that kind of interest?
Well, I think Butch Jones has done a fabulous job there. I mean, these guys had a really good team last year. They finished the season strong. I don't know how many games they went in a row, 12 or 13 or 14 or whatever it was, from last year to this year. That's pretty strong. The only loss they have is to a top 5 or 6 team in the country. And they certainly weren't that way when he took the program over. So it's doing a good job of developing players, doing a good job of recruiting players, and they do an outstanding job, and I think Butch has done an outstanding job there. And but probably like all coaches, when you say, do you take satisfaction? I don't take any satisfaction in anything that we've done here, because I'm just worried about winning this game. So pretty slippery pole from the penthouse to the outhouse when you're in this business. So you don't take satisfaction. You don't take satisfaction. That's what causes lapse in games. You take satisfaction when the score is 42-17, and then you go out there and get your ass kicked in the next series. So you can't take satisfaction. You got to keep on grinding. That's what competitive people have to do, and that's what competitors do, and that's what you have to do in this game.
Yeah, with the concussion protocol specifically, is there a certain number of things a player has to do by a certain time that you or the medical staff wants to see?
Look, I got nothing to do with it, all right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a part of the medical staff. I never determine whether a player plays or doesn't play. All right, and there is a protocol, and there is a number of things that a player has to do. And the medical people, the doctors and the trainers and all that, put them through the protocol, and they decide when they can play and when they can't play. I have never made a decision about a player, whether he plays or he doesn't play, whether it's in the game or right now. So I have too much respect for the players and their future and their careers to ever put a player at risk. Most of the time, I'm telling players, look, I know you want to play, because I ask a guy sometimes even when the medical staff says he can play. I say, can you play? Are you ready to play? And most of the time, the player really always wants to play and says he can. But the question is can you go out there and do your job like you want to, and do you feel comfortable and confident you can do that, regardless of what the issue is? All right, and that's always something to me that's important from a player's perspective, regardless of what his medical circumstance is.
Last one right here.
It's appeared the last few games that y'all have done a lot more blitzing up the middle, especially with the middle linebackers. What's the root of that? Is there a reason for it, and you trying to take advantage of it?
I don't really think we've done a lot more. I don't know. I guess I would have to look at it statistically, but I feel like you look at every game, like where do you have the best mismatched players? Is it covering their players? Is it trying to utilize the skill you have in the pass rush relative to their protection scheme or whatever? And I think you plan that during the course of the week. You practice that, and that's what you go into the game thinking that you're going to play. And it's like in the last game, they throw a lot of move the pocket stuff, so we wanted to bring guys off the edge to try to contain the quarterback. So it may look like we were more edge pressure. On third down, we weren't doing a great job of covering them, and we were doing a pretty good job of forcing the pocket. So you say, all right, we'll pressure a little bit more. And for the most part, when we contained the quarterback, it was pretty effective.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys.